Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone out there in Connect Land can hear me. If you can I get an okay in the chat, please? Yuppers, all right. Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, well, welcome back to ITS Connect for the month of April this time. Last time, if you joined me, we were talking about web calendar, Google Calendar that is, and I didn't quite get through everything that I wanted to tell you about, so I decided to do part 2 of Google Calendar, and I've moved my other training sessions that were scheduled for like Google Docs and Google Sites, moved those up a month. So next month in May, I believe we're going to go through Google Docs, but for now, I'm doing the second part of calendar because I thought that would be of more use to you guys. So I do have a PowerPoint again today. As I'm going through this, if you have questions, please enter them into the chat pod. I can't always get to them right away because I'm too busy talking, but when I see them, I will answer them to the best of my ability. All right. So last time, if you joined me, we covered the topic of my calendars versus other calendars. We talked about sharing your calendars and the levels of access that you have to your calendars. We talked about calendar views, appointment slots, and also calendar delegation. And what that means is letting someone else put things on your calendar or schedule meetings on behalf of somebody else, something that we often hear happening with department administrators and managers or directors. And if you didn't have a chance to catch that, we've posted part 1 of Google Calendar at help.case.edu, and I'll show you where that's at a little bit later if you can't find it. So what I've decided that we should cover today are a couple of features that I especially find very helpful. Adding events, especially the quick add, general calendar settings that you need to be aware of, showing and displaying calendars, sharing settings, going a little bit deeper into that so you have some more knowledge of what we're doing, notification settings, and then also labs, which are things that you can add into Google Calendar to make it work to your liking. Okay, first of all, in case you weren't with me last time, to use Google Calendar, you need to go to webcalendar.case.edu and sign in with your single sign-in crew network ID and password. So what I'm talking about today has only to do with the web interface, webcalendar.case.edu. I'm not talking about Outlook, although you can use web calendar in your Outlook. That's not what I'm talking about today. That's for another day. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is the 3 ways that you can add events to a calendar. Some people think there's only one way, by clicking the Create button. There's a few other ways that you can do that. The first way is to click the Create button. That takes you to the Edit Event screen, and I can demonstrate that for you in a second. You could also click the drop-down button that's to the right of Create, and that gives you access to Quick Add, where you can enter the appointment name, date, time, and locations in the same line, and then Google kind of figures it out for you. And you can also click anywhere on your calendar and a new event box will appear. I'm going to take you out to my desktop right now and demonstrate that for you. So, okay, it looks like everybody can see my desktop. Make sure it's in the right resolution. Is that looking okay, guys? Here in the studio? All right, cool. All right, so what I'd like to do is demonstrate for you how this works. I'm going to go to, let's see, go here. Nice clear look at my calendar. My preferred calendar view is weekly, by the way. You can change this to day and month if you'd like. So the first way to create an event is click this nice big red Create button, and that takes you to this page that's full of options for setting time, day, location, and selecting the calendar where you want this event to go. This is also where you add guests. It's down here on the right. We don't literally add things to people's calendars. We add guests to our own events, if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to discard this and show you another way to add things. I'm going to click the drop-down button for Quick Add, and I'm going to enter an event this way. I'm going to put breakfast at Tiffany's Friday at 9 a.m. All right, so see how I've written that? Now when I click Add, through the magic of Google, okay, so it didn't know what week I was looking at. Through the magic of Google, this week, Google put Breakfast at Tiffany's this Friday, so tomorrow, 4/20 at 9 o'clock. I didn't have to enter a date into the date field. I didn't have to enter a place into the location field. I just entered in Breakfast at Tiffany's, 9 o'clock on Friday, and it put it there for me through the magic of Google. It didn't know which Friday I meant though, so I just put it on the closest Friday to the date. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation now. It takes a little second to come up. Okay, so some of the things you need to know about web calendar are kind of hidden from you, so I'm going to explore calendar settings with you. If you look to the upper right-hand corner of your calendar window, you're going to see a little gear that looks like what I've circled here. There it is. Okay, so you can see my little green arrow pointing to it now. So that little gear is the settings gear. There's another gear on the page. Has a little fewer gears on it, I guess you can say. They're very similar looking, but this is the gear you need to be going to. It's up by your picture or avatar, kind of in the toolbar of your web calendar. So when you get to your calendar settings, what you're going to find access to is the ability to change your time zone, your working hours, your default meeting length. You're going to be able to determine whether or not your events are dimmed, whether or not you want to show weekends, and what your default view is when you access your calendar every day, or any custom views that you want to set up. In the time settings, you can select your time zone, which is right here, and you can also give it an optional label. So if you're one of those people that has to schedule things for someone who travels across the country or across the world, like some people in our organization, it's nice to be able to give time zones a label. So in this example, I've selected the Eastern time zone, and I've made the label Ohio. So I could also select, say, the Pacific time zone and make that into California or Nevada or whatever it is I need to. And that way, when I'm going through the time zones and scheduling something on someone's calendar, I know what time zone I'm scheduling it in, and if they have any questions when they look at their calendar, they could just look at it and say, okay, 2 o'clock, not Eastern time zone, but Pacific time zone. So that's also helpful if you're somebody who attends a lot of web meetings. I know when we attend meetings with Oracle and other vendors, they're located on the West Coast, so we always have to make sure we have the right time on our calendars when we go to put those on our Google calendars. Also, you can select your date format. For those of you who maybe prefer a different date format, you can select it here. Maybe you like to see the day first and then the month because you're used to that. You can do that. I like to see month first, then date. And also then there's the time format. You have the choice between what we call military time and then standard time. So under the calendar settings, we also have the ability to change our default meeting length. Here it shows the 60-minute default meeting. This is new, the speedy meetings thing. I'd never seen this until yesterday, so it kind of threw me for a loop. Speedy meetings, if you check that, it encourages meeting time efficiency. And in order to get to your next meeting on time, it ends at 30-minute meetings 5 minutes early, and it ends your 1-hour meetings 10 minutes early. So if you guys can think of a use for that, go ahead and use it. Wouldn't work quite well for me. Also, you have the ability to change the date that your week starts on. I like my week to start on Sunday. In other countries, they say their week starts on Monday. So if that's what you're accustomed to, you can change it. Working hours. I like this because my working hours can be a little bit different than other people's. This, by being checked, says show a warning to other people when they invite me to an event outside my working hours. So this is just a warning. It can still allow them to schedule something on your calendar if it's outside your working hours. But this gives you the option of determining what your working hours are on your calendar. And here I've checked off Monday through Friday from 7 to 4. So those are my typical working hours. It doesn't mean that someone can't schedule a meeting after 4 o'clock. Happens all the time. But it gives them a warning that, hey, this is not typically when this person is available. Event dimming is something new that came with the new Google interface. This allows you to dim past events. So if you're someone who likes the default weekly view like I do, and you want your past events to be not as prevalent on your screen as your current events, you can select dim past events, and then those events on your calendar will be slightly less vibrant on your screen than the events that are coming up on the current day or in the future. There's also the option to dim recurring future events. If you think that's going to be of use to you, go ahead and use that. Show weekends, yes or no. I don't use my Google Calendar to schedule stuff on the weekends, so I have it marked no. So when I'm looking at my weekly view, I just see Monday through Friday, and that's more convenient for me. Also, I've selected my default view here of a week, and I've made a custom view of 7 days. Now, a custom view allows you to look from today's date up to a certain number of days out from that date. So if I look at the 7-day view right now, I'm going to see Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all right? Not Sunday to Saturday. I'm going to see 7 days from now. So that's what the custom view is about, and that might be helpful for you if you prefer to see just today through however many days into the future. And I believe you have the option of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, maybe even more weeks at a time. So you'll have to look at that yourself if you're interested in using it. Okay, more customizations. You have the ability to show your weather based on your location, and yes, you can tell Google your location, and then it'll tell you how warm or cold it is outside. Show events you have declined, yes or no. Now, I like to see the events I've declined because occasionally my calendar opens up and then I can attend them again. But if I didn't see them on my calendar, then I wouldn't know that I could attend them again. So I have yes selected so that anything I've declined still shows up, but it does show that I've declined the meeting, so other things can be scheduled over top of it. Automatically add invitations to my calendar. I've selected yes here. Your other options are yes, but don't send event reminders unless I have responded, yes or maybe, and no, only show invitations to which I have responded. So if you're someone who gets a ton of email and you don't always have time to go through and click yes or no to your meetings, this might be a good option for you to select yes, one of the yes options, so that things are still put on your calendar. So if you're calendar reliant, then this might be a good option for you, in my opinion. Also, there's the option to use Asian calendars and enable keyboard shortcuts. I'm not a keyboard shortcut person, so I say no. Occasionally I hit the wrong keyboard shortcut or one that I don't know I've done, and then something appears in my calendar, and I'm not a fan of that, so I selected no. All right, some more settings that you need to know about. There is, in your calendar settings, there's a couple, let's call them tabs at the top. One of them says calendars, and this gives you access to the calendars that you've created and the calendars that you have access to so that you can change their settings. And in those settings, you have the ability to show some calendars and not others in your My Calendars and other calendars lists. You have the ability to change notification settings and also sharing settings. So before I show you this, let me just give you an idea of where I'm going. I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint for a second and share my screen instead. Okay, so let me tell you what I'm talking about. First of all, I'm going to go up to my settings, going to the big gear and choosing calendar settings. And so this is the screen where I was before. These are the tabs I was talking about: General, Calendars, Mobile Setup, and Labs. I'm going to click on Calendars, and this is how I get to the calendars that I've created and own, and also the calendars that I have access to because other people have given me access. So going back to my presentation again. So this helps you sort of zoom in on what I'm talking about. That's why I take screenshots instead of staying live the whole time. Here are my calendars. You can see the one named after me, a test calendar I've created, and some other calendars that we use internally to take care of some of our recurring events, as well as my personal calendar, which I've set up on my case.edu account. The show and list column is first, then we have the notifications column, the sharing column, the unsubscribe link, and the delete link. It's not a good idea to unsubscribe from your own calendars, that is, unless you've created it for a group and you no longer need access to it, in which case ownership can be transferred. There's also the delete calendar setting, so if you don't need a calendar anymore and you own it, you can delete it. So this is just for the calendars that you own. With the show and list option, This is important because every calendar that you ever create or add to the other calendars area in your calendar, so other people's calendars, room calendars, they stay in your list. So your list could potentially get pretty long. Occasionally, if you just need to have a meeting with somebody just once and then you really don't need to meet with them again, you can remove their calendar from your list so that it's not clogging the space in the scroll area. There are other options for displaying, hiding, or removing a calendar entirely. So we have the Show and List checkbox. If it's unchecked, you don't see it when you're scrolling through your other calendars or My Calendars areas of your calendar. There's the unsubscribe link, which means you would subscribe to a calendar, so somebody's calendar, a room calendar, some sort of operations calendar like what we keep in our organization. If you unsubscribe, then you won't get notifications from it anymore if you had that set up, and it also won't show up in your list. And then finally, there's delete for your calendars only. So you can use these tools to determine what shows up and what doesn't show up in the My Calendars list and the Other Calendars list. Just so you have an idea, this is what it looks like when you look at the other calendars. Calendars I can only view is what the description says. So here I see like the conference room in my office building, conference rooms in other office buildings, and then the calendars of my coworkers. So I have some of these checked off so that they show up in my list of other calendars I can look at, and others that I don't. If I need notifications for any of these calendars, I could set that up. And if at any time I don't want them anywhere in my settings anymore, I can unsubscribe from them. I do not have the delete option because these aren't my calendars to delete. These are other people's calendars. Okay, moving on to notifications. If I were to click on the notifications link for any of these calendars, this is what it takes me to. So let's say I click on the notifications for my own calendar. I have the ability to choose what type of notifications I get based on events that occur on my calendar, such as new events. Receive a notification when someone sends you an invitation to an event. That's good to have. It's kind of startling when someone puts something on your calendar and you weren't aware of it, and suddenly you have somewhere to be in 5 minutes. So it's always nice to get notifications. So I have new events set up to email me. So when someone invites me to something, I automatically get an email. I also have the option of a text message. So if you're somebody who is text dependent, this might be a good idea for you. Of course, any charges associated with your mobile phone, when you receive a text, you're going to incur those. So this is optional. I don't have this checked off because I don't need to receive a text when I get invited somewhere. I don't get so many invitations, luckily, that I need that. Changed events. So if somebody changes the time or a meeting location, you can get a notification for that. Canceled events, that's also good to have because you don't want to show up somewhere after it's been canceled. And also, if you need event responses so that you know when people have accepted or declined events, you can also receive a daily email with your agenda on it if that's of any help to you. You do need to click this little linky here, set up your mobile phone to receive notifications if you want to use any of the SMS features. So more about calendar sharing. This is what I was talking about last time in greater detail. In this case, I have clicked on my own calendar. I can click on any of the calendars I own, and that's where I have the ability to change sharing. I have selected share this calendar with others and share this calendar with everyone in the organization, Case Western Reserve University. The level that I've set is see only, free, busy, hide details. So what that means is any of you can look up my calendar right now. You're free to. It's KXZ19. And all you're going to see when I have something on my calendar is free or busy. So you're going to see blank spaces where I'm free and then blocks that say busy when I'm busy. However, these two people down here, Jennifer and Kirsten, can see all of my event details. These are some of my coworkers and my supervisor. They need to know where I am in case something is amiss. So they can see all my event details when they look at my calendar. So I'm able to share my calendar with the entire university so people can see when I'm free and busy to schedule meetings with me. And I can also share more details with specific people. So I find that very powerful. Some things you need to know about. labs. Okay, I have about 9 minutes left here, so I'm going to go over this pretty quickly. Labs is on your calendar settings as well. So if you go up to the big gear, click on that, there's a link directly to labs. You can click it right there. Labs are things that are being tested by Google. They can be created by anyone in the world who considers themselves a Google developer, so use them with caution. Many of the popular labs that we've seen over the years have actually become part of Google Mail and Google Calendar. On that though, some of them aren't, and so they can break or disappear at any time without warning. So a few of the labs that I think you might enjoy and are worth trying, and you can look for these, you can search for them by names, you can also just scroll down a list in the calendar lab settings. The hide morning and night feature minimizes the time range that's shown on your calendar so you don't accidentally schedule a 3 p.m. meeting and a 3 a.m. meeting or a 3 a.m. meeting slot. Automatically decline events lets you mark off times you are not available so that any invitation sent for that time is declined automatically. There's also the Event Attachments Lab, which allows you to attach Google Docs and entire Word docs and PowerPoint docs to an event. It then converts them to Google Docs so they're easily accessible. And then there's the Free or Busy Lab, which allows you to see a list of friends and if they're free or busy at the time, and this requires that they share their calendar with you. So more information on Google Calendar that you might find helpful. Google does have an interactive tour, and it's available at this at this URL. If you look in the links pod right under a chat, I've left it there for you so you can actually copy and paste it out of there. You can also get to this interactive tour through help.case.edu. And you can also download this presentation in the Files pod, which I've just added to your screen. The first doc is Google Calendar for Administrative Assistance. I shared that with you last time if you attended, so you can get that now by clicking on it, and Save to My Computer is the command you need there. And also the ITS Connect Google Calendar Part 2 PowerPoint presentation, so basically what I just shared with you, you can download that as well. I wanted to let you know that on help.case.edu now, we do have a link to videos in the training section. So if you go to help.case.edu and on the left under training, we have a whole list of our enterprise services. So that includes Google Apps, Crew Email, and a whole bunch of other things like PeopleSoft Financials and the Student Information System. Very powerful training docs. We also have a link to lynda.com through there. Some of you don't know this, but we all have access to lynda.com's extensive collection of software training videos. If you've never experienced it yet, please give it a try. It's incredibly educational. So what you need to do is go to the lynda.com link on our help.case.edu page. When you click that, it's going to take you through our single sign-on portal to lynda.com, and then lynda.com knows who you are, and it's going to give you free access to the entire library. Otherwise, it's something that's about a $250 value that Case is providing to you for free. So it's wonderful to have that ability. Also, so if you're on the training menu and you go to help.case.edu, on the training menu, very bottom is videos. You can see 2 of the videos that I've recorded so far through the ITS Connect series. So far I've gone over Google Talk, webmail, and now 2 Google Calendar sessions, and there's going to be more in the future. Before we leave, I'm going to ask you all to take a survey, please. This helps me to understand what your needs are, your training needs, and what you'd like to see in future ITS Connect events. If there's not any questions, I'm going to end the session. So if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box now. So far, so good, I think. It looks like there's just a few of you left. So I'm going to go ahead and close down the session. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope to see you next month in our ITS Connect session.